Hello, my name is Alyasa Abbas. I am a student of economics. My topic for today will be centered around the practice and teaching of economics. In the 12 minutes allotted to me, I shall attempt to highlight some of the major problems within the practice and teaching of economics, the need for a reform, and what is already being done toward that need, and finally, why should people who are not studying economics care at all? I shall start by answering the last question. Why should people who are not studying economics, who are not practicing economics, care at all? One reason to care is that economics is a discipline which is closely associated with power. Prominent economists occupy top positions in central banks, government ministries, multilateral institutions, so on and so forth. So their advice is often important in shaping public policy. This is not to claim that their advice is the best advice in the world, but simply a statement of fact. These policies affect us deeply and on a daily basis. Yet somehow, economic policy debates remain highly inaccessible to non-specialists. We need to be able to dissect what is being said in the economic policy debates to understand what is being implied for us. Therefore, it is critical that we care about problems within a discipline which is closely associated with public policy. So what is really the problem with economics today? The problem with economics today is that it is dominated by one single methodology, neoclassical economics. Now, what is neoclassical economics and why is its dominance even a problem? So neoclassical economics is broadly a way of understanding the economy. It focuses on the distribution of resources. So it essentially argues that from three basic premises, we can explain everything that happens in an economy and why. What are these three basic premises? One is individuals who are self-interested and who are looking to maximize this self-interest. Two, these individuals have certain endowments. Three, these individuals have certain technical abilities to transform nature or raw materials into productive resources or things which they can use. So the state of technology basically. From these three basic premises, everything else unfolds. It also means that everything else can be reduced to these three basic premises. So neoclassical economics is an essentialist or a deterministic theory. This gives economics an element of mathematical and logical rigor, and it also gives it an element of predictive power. So the models constructed in this way can predict what is going to happen in the economy given certain conditions. So why is the dominance of neoclassical economics a problem? One reason is the nature of theory itself. Any theory is an abstraction of reality and involves assumptions, so it can only capture a part of reality, not the totality. And in social sciences, this problem is even more pronounced. In economics, there are at least 9 different schools of thought, and none of these schools can claim superiority over the other, much less a monopoly over truth. And economist Ha-Joon Chang explains another important aspect. He says that economics studies human societies. Humans have their own free will and their own imagination. They can imagine a utopia. Therefore, they might not simply respond to external conditions. They are capable of going out and changing those very conditions, and this results in a change in how the economy and society is organized. So a discipline which studies human societies must be very humble about its predictive power. Economics is a discipline which studies how production and distribution of resources takes place. This is an ideological question because there are various ways of organizing production and distribution. But this much is not the problem. The problem is that economics, being an ideological discipline, is dominated by one particular ideology, and that ideology claims that economics is not ideological, that it is a value-free science. Nothing could be farther from the truth, because behind all the technical and rigorous models lie all sorts of value judgments. What is a good life? How should minority views be accommodated? Should the government spend more during a pandemic? Is the mode of production environmentally sustainable? What can be considered a social improvement and what cannot be considered a social improvement? And what is an ethical way of achieving progress, and how do we define progress? So these are all sorts of value judgments. For example, in neoclassical economics, the focus is on methodological individualism, but where does this individual exist? What is the gender of this individual? What is the social category? Does this individual live in a politically stable country? What is the geographical location in which this individual resides? These are just some of the questions which do not figure in neoclassical economics models, even though it may be true that that neoclassical economists care about these questions. And so this is the main problem in economics today. And I came to recognize these problems in my undergraduate years, and a lot of others, numerous other people did. But the diagnosis of the problem is not the difficult part. The difficult part is a more pressing question. If this is so inadequate, why does this methodology persist? And this can be explained in terms of a few models. One is philosophical. So Emery Lakatos was a philosopher of science, and he gave a philosophy of research programs in science. So think of two concentric circles. So the inner circle is called the core, which is the set of basic axioms which are accepted as truths. These truths are imbibed in the psychology of the scientific community, and they are not questioned. Around the core is the protective belt. This is the area in which attacks can happen, disagreements can be accommodated, the dissidents can have their say, the rebels can have a shot, but the core is protected. And Lakatos explained that the reason for the existence of protective belt is to prevent a premature degeneration of the core. With greater empirical evidence against the core will degenerate and a new research program will develop. But he explained this in terms of natural sciences. In social sciences, it is harder to disprove a theory than to prove a theory based on empirical evidence, because social sciences do not follow a linear pattern of scientific progress like natural sciences. So then why does a research program persist? Another dimension that can be added to Lakatos's model is political. I mentioned in the beginning that economics is closely associated with power. What kind of association is this? It is associated in the service of power. Economics is largely practiced today in a way that people in power would like it to be practiced. And this can be explained in terms of a leap or a transition toward positivist methodologies of research like the neoclassical economics, rather than asking tough and normative questions. So economic models largely focus on explaining and justifying the status quo or the state of affairs, rather than actively posing questions and challenging the power relations in the society. And therefore, by adding this political dimension, we can explain the persistence of this particular methodology. This is actively protected by top academic journals which are dismissive of heterodox models, and top academic institutions which are dismissive of heterodox approaches. And most of these institutions reside in the global north, and they serve as the gatekeepers for this methodology. And now I come to what is being done toward a reform. So since the years of financial crash in 2008, a lot of student and academic run networks have been established around the world. Some of these are International Development Economics Associates, Young Scholars Initiative, Decolonizing Economics, Rethinking Economics, Exploring Economics, and so on and so forth. These institutions and networks are helping to advocate for pluralism, for accommodation of more theories in economics discipline and practice, teaching and practice from within. But there's a long way to go, because these organizations are mostly volunteer based and lack adequate funding. They lack capacity utilization, they lack financial independence which is needed, they lack proper recognition from the mainstream circles. So it is important, and I urge everyone watching this to engage with such institutions and networks, hear what they have to say, because it is very important that the larger civil society acknowledges them. And for people, and it will be interesting to note that a lot of people who are leading these organizations are from non-economics background. And so for people who are not directly associated with economics or engaging with economics, I understand that it is important, in order to pose a full-fledged intellectual challenge to orthodoxy, it is important to engage with the discipline for many, many years. But an informed basic understanding can go a long way in at least calling out the bluffs in the policy as and when they are presented. Because given that there is active defense of the persisting paradigm from within the discipline, and informed public pressure from outside is vital for the movement for pluralism. And during the FAIR project, we had 2 to 3 extremely insightful discussions around the issue of universal basic incomes, and these discussions were carried by people who hadn't studied economics. And I realized that at the end of the day, economic policies are debates around issues which concern us, and we are capable of understanding what affects us and how. So while we must acknowledge the specialists and the advice they have to offer, economics is too much important to be left only to the specialists. And I must also point out that in my polemic against the neoclassical economics, I do not imply, or I do not advocate for a dismissive criticism of the methodology. In a pluralistic framework in pedagogy and practice, neoclassical economics will be accommodated, but it will exist as one amongst many theories and many perspectives on the economy, and many ways of understanding economies, which it will be useful in certain conditions and it will not be useful in certain other conditions. That was my time. Thank you very much.